What would you do if the sister who once left you to scrape by in the shadows now stood at your door, pleading for help? I never thought I'd face that question, but life has a way of twisting the knife when you least expect it. My name is Clara, and this is the story of how I learned the true cost of forgiveness. Growing up, my sister Lila and I were opposites stitched into the same family quilt. She was the golden child, charming, radiant, always the center of attention. I was the quiet one, content to fade into the background, my dreams tucked into the pages of a journal I hid under my pillow. Our parents adored Lila, showering her with praise, new clothes, and a bedroom that looked like it belonged in a magazine. I got her hand-me-downs in a corner of the basement, where I slept on a thin mattress on the concrete floor. It wasn't just the cold that kept me awake at night. It was the ache of being invisible. Lila never noticed. She'd breeze through the house, her laughter echoing, while I scrubbed dishes or mended her dresses. When we were teens, she'd borrow my savings pennies I'd earned from odd jobs to buy concert tickets or lipstick, promising to pay me back. She never did. By the time we were adults, she'd moved out to a glittering apartment in the city, funded by our parents' generosity. I stayed behind, working double shifts at a diner to afford a cramped studio, my mattress now on a creaky frame, but still just as lonely. Years passed, and I clawed my way up. I took night classes, studied until my eyes burned, and landed a job as a graphic designer. It wasn't glamorous, but it was a life built from my own sweat and stubbornness. Lila, meanwhile, chased a life of luxury. She partied with influencers, posted photos from rooftop bars, and bragged about her perfect life online. We barely spoke. The few times we did, she'd laugh off my modest existence, as if my hard-earned stability was a quaint little hobby. Then came the call. It was a rainy Tuesday, the kind where the sky feels heavy with secrets. Lila's voice trembled on the other end of the line. "Clara, I need you," she said. Her apartment, her designer clothes, her entire carefully curated life was all crumbling. She'd burned through her savings, racked up debts, and now faced eviction. Our parents, long retired and struggling themselves, couldn't help. She had nowhere else to turn. I stood frozen in my tiny apartment, the phone pressed to my ear. Memories flooded back, nights on the cold basement floor, her laughter as she took what little I had, the sting of being less than in her eyes. Part of me wanted to hang up, to let her face the consequences of her choices. But another part, the part that still remembered the rare moments when she'd sneak me a piece of her Halloween candy or hug me after a bad day, wouldn't let me. I met her at a coffee shop the next day. She looked different, her makeup couldn't hide the bags under her eyes, and her designer jacket was frayed at the cuffs. She begged me to pay her overdue rent, just enough to keep her from the streets. "I'll change, Clara," she promised, tears streaking her face. "I'll make it right." I wanted to believe her, but trust is a fragile thing, easily shattered by years of neglect. I thought of the girl who'd slept on the floor, invisible to her own sister. Yet I also saw the woman in front of me, broken and desperate, a mirror of the vulnerability I'd once felt. I paid her rent not out of obligation, but because I refused to let bitterness define me. I told her it was a one-time thing. If she wanted to change, she'd have to prove it. Months later, Lila started a job at a boutique, then a cheaper apartment. She called me sometimes, not to ask for money but to talk, to share pieces of her life. It wasn't perfect, and neither were we. But I began to see glimpses of the sister I'd once hoped she could be. Forgiveness didn't erase the past. It didn't make the nights on the floor less cold or the years of being overlooked less painful. But it gave me something I hadn't expected: freedom. Freedom from the weight of resentment, from the need to prove I was enough. Lila's still finding her way, and so am I. But maybe, just maybe, we're finding it together.